This radio show is brought to you by All In Cincinnati. All in Cincinnati, an equity coalition, is sponsored by BI3, Greater Cincinnati Foundation, the Carol Ann and Ralph V. Hale Jr. Foundation, Fifth Third Foundation, Interact for Health, and the United Way of Greater Cincinnati. Thanks for tuning in.
We're all in together now. We're all in.
Hello, and welcome back to the All In Cincinnati radio show, where we are all in it together to eliminate disparities and inequities for Black women in Hamilton County. I am Denisha Porter, and I'm honored to serve as the Executive Director of All In Cincinnati and your host for our segment today about Black women and our careers. According to the Statistical Atlas, the median household income for Black Cincinnatians is approximately $22,000, and the Women's Fund at the Greater Cincinnati Foundation research confirms that the average wage for Black women in Hamilton County is $15 per hour, including those with master's degrees. Additional facts to keep in mind are that 42.1% of the Black population lives in poverty, 56.2% is the African American labor participation rate, the lowest of all races, 11.5% is the unemployment rate for the Black population compared to 4.5% for the white population. Black worker share is heavily concentrated in jobs with the lowest median earnings: nursing assistants, $30,000, home health and personal care aides, $25,000, restaurant services, $29,000, and laborers, $34,000. For these reasons and others, our discussion today will focus on Black women and our careers. As always, we have three Black boss ladies in the building who will engage in our conversations about advocating for yourself in the workplace, professional development, path to the C-suite, occupational diversity, and equal opportunity employers. Our first guest is Jessica Wright, President and CEO of Wright Workforce Solutions, a human resources consulting company that helps clients create an efficient, productive, and successful workforce. Our next guest is Renika Smiley, founder and CEO of Generation Now. Her company provides world-class networking, mentorship, career training, and resources to help young professionals succeed. Also joining us is Devona Stripling, manager of the Women Excel program at the Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce. As an experienced diversity and inclusion professional, she leads a platform to provide networking, education, mentoring, and leadership development for women in business. Welcome, Queens, and thank you for joining the All In Cincinnati radio show for our discussion today about Black women in the workforce and workplace. Our workforce goals at All In Cincinnati are to increase the number of Black women who complete apprenticeships, engage in mentoring programs, and increase the median wage, and have access to high quality and better paying jobs. So let's start moving the needle forward. So I talked a little bit about you, but can you all introduce yourself? So we'll start with Jessica.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Jessica Wright, the owner of Wright Workforce Solutions, and I established my business to provide affordable services, HR services to small businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups. You know, I just found that small businesses can't afford a full-time HR person sometimes within the first 10 to 12 years of a startup. They just can't afford $70, $80, $90,000 HR person, and they're really focused on their passion, which they should be. So whatever that passion is, whether that's, food, a lot of my clients right now are in the restaurant and bar industry. So a lot of my clients are minorities, which I'm so proud to be able to help them and provide these affordable services. So, that's my passion. That's what I do.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up, Renika J. I forgot to mention the J in the Renika J Smiley.
That's how my dad name is. My dad name is Richard J. Smiley.
Oh, I love it.
So my mom named me same initials as my dad.
Aww.
So he's a senior. So my passion is just helping young professionals with staying where they want to get to and actually evolving, helping them in that involvement moment in their life, which is early career and mid-career. You may sprout up and figure out something else you want to do, but there's always training and development needed for young professionals, especially since we are the future of the workforce and we're kind of like the forgotten population. It's like the population that everybody wants to help the most, but doesn't have time to kind of build the network and organization and the system that's needed to keep the young professionals here in Cincinnati. And that's where Generation Now comes about, to help young professionals stay here by retaining them with resources needed to keep them in Cincinnati. And so now we're evolving, creating workforce programs, because a lot of the things that a lot of the research that came out of our events and programs for young professionals were still a lot of life skills that a young professional still needed. And so that's what made us evolve and start workforce programs outside of just the traditional programs and networking events and leadership development programs that you see offered for young professionals.
I love it. You dropping gems already. You talking about retaining the talent that we have here. So sometimes the culture is attract and retain. And it's no, like, it should be retain and attract, because we have great people here. All right, next up is Devona, and Devona is my sister's name, so I'm so happy to have another
special,
Devona.
Yes. So thank you first for having me here. I'm Devona Stripling, and I serve as the Women Excel Program Manager at the Cincinnati Regional Chamber. I have the pleasure and the honor to inspire, transform, and impact women all over our community. Where else can you get leadership development, personal development, look for your goals, things that you have yet to untap? You know, a lot of times we invest in other people, but we don't take the time to invest in ourselves. Yes. And I just like to believe that I help make that magic happen by coming through some of our programs that I oversee at the Chamber. And it has been a pleasure. It's been phenomenal to see women go from one level to the next level, putting them in the C-suites, putting them in the boardrooms, putting them in the places that they need to be in. Because a lot of times we don't recognize that our voice matters in the community, in our organizations. And a lot of times we will not even tap into those things until somebody help us to recognize those things within ourselves. So I like to believe that I am making that kind of impact with the women that I encounter and the women that come through the programs at the Chamber.
Right, I totally get that too. Sometimes we don't see the skills that we have in ourselves until someone tells us, like Crystal, who's also in the building too. But yeah, Crystal has pointed me in the direction of many things that I didn't think that I would be doing, including this radio show. But but loving every moment of it.
That's awesome.
All right, so what is happening with Black women in the workforce and the workplace?
I think a lot of things is still happening that's been happening for a long time. Women still have to work harder, especially our Black women. We have to work longer. We have to prove ourselves that we're valuable assets to the organizations. We still have to push the agenda that we should be at the seats in the leadership roles. And I think we have to push harder. I think a lot of times we suffer from the imposter syndrome, not recognizing that we are authentic. We bring something to the table. But how do we do that? How do we push that agenda to get to that point where we need to be at, where you all have seen that in yourselves? You saw a need in the community, you saw a need in the workforce, and then you go after it. I think Black women in our community still suffers in that area because a lot of times we'll just convoke to the culture of our organizations, and we're complacent in those areas, and we don't move past that complacency, and then we just kind of take what it is that we give. For me, I got tired of getting paid low wages. I got tired of being that woman that was like, take anything and just get it. I was like, no, there's more in me that I see that you see, and I'm going to make it happen for myself. So I invested in myself. I put myself back in college. I went back and got my master's degree, so that would not be a hindrance for me to go to the next level in an organization. So you can't deny me when you interview me no longer, because now I have the skill sets and I have the education to go along with what I say, what I do, and what I'm going to do. And I think a lot of times we don't invest in ourselves so that we can get to that next level.
I love that. Renika, do you have anything to add to that?
What we have witnessed seeing in the last couple of years is the Great Resignation.
Yes.
And included in that Great Resignation is a lot of African American women who exit out of the workforce due to frustration, and a lot of them due to having to be forced to resign because of the coronavirus, the pandemic, with childcare and just layoffs as well. So now what we're witnessing at this moment is women who resigned from the Great Recession. It is a depression.
Depression. That's what we are.
Yeah, the Great Recession, and now trying to figure out what's the future as an entrepreneur or moving back into the workforce. So we're in an interesting time now in our generation where, okay, with millennials, you have options. And that's like the best blessing that millennials gave themselves, is options where you can have a business, or you can have investment into real estate or other income-based properties, or companies that you want to establish. And then you can have the option of going back into the workforce when you feel like it, or if you feel like the opportunity presents itself where it's worth your time. And that's just not for African Americans. That's just for across the board for a lot of millennials, which you are now. We're now the free agents for the football team, and we pick the salary and the position that we want in the workforce. So it's the positive that you see in it, and then it's still, okay, how do we help the women who did not progress in the workforce because they did not have the tools and resources, so they got frustrated with the workforce and exit out because they didn't know how to overcome some of those barriers. So you're dealing with across the board a few different things that's happening in the workforce right now. And so, but it's all about having the right people at the table that's willing to do the work, especially the work willing to help our African American women, so we can help the poverty issues in Cincinnati, which Cincinnati says is a huge issue. Then we need to really tackle that issue and support the people who needs the support, and not focus on the population where we're just recycling resources and hindering people instead of opening that next door, helping them into that next door for
Helping them advance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jessica, do you have any thoughts about that? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that these two beautiful ladies, they really covered so much of it. I feel like they were speaking to my journey exactly. I mean, for me, I was in nonprofit during COVID, and COVID took me out. I mean, if I seen one more Black single mom get evicted during COVID, I was going to lose my mind. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. And, so I left nonprofit and I went corporate. Long behold, when I got to corporate, not only was I the only woman, but I was the only Black woman at the corporate level. And I lasted all of 6 months, and I'm like, I cannot do this. This is not, I can't. I mean, the just the level of, for lack of a better term, ignorance was just something that I was just unable to handle. And then the next thing you know, I think Renika said it best, millennials we just have that power right now. And so I literally took my life experience, I took my education, and just jumped off the porch and started my own business. And I'm like, because I knew, all of, you've got your mortars, you've got your, the city of Cincinnati, you've got, pouring into these entrepreneurs, these startups. And then, so for me, it was so important especially, Black businesses are getting grants and things like that. That's something that I am very proud of for the city of Cincinnati, that they are pouring into entrepreneurs, especially Black businesses. So for me, it was just so important to, how can I impact these small Black businesses? So for me, it was I can help jump in and create a culture of accountability, within their staff. I can help create these processes and procedures. I just say I'm like a paper pushing nerd, that loves HR, right? So how can I just jump in and help these businesses be successful from the jump? But, that's really all I have to add. I feel like they really covered it.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some things that Black women can do to grow into their companies.
In order for young professionals to thrive in the workforce, they need valuable resources and tools to help ensure their success. Generation Now Cincinnati Network is a community-based nonprofit that provides career training and professional development to over 5,000 young professionals. Founder Renika Smiley launched Generation Now in 2015 as a LinkedIn networking happy hour event and has highlighted over 200 local businesses and honored more than 150 young professionals in our area with awards and plaques for career achievement. Gen Now offers networking events to allow young leaders to connect and collaborate, professional development opportunities to build knowledge and skill set, job boards to connect vetted businesses with talent professionals, access to free college degree programs and certificates. Gen Now is offering a 12-week intensive professional development training program called Advance to Black women in Metro Cincinnati. The program consists of a mix of training in soft skills, leadership development, financial literacy, and life skills. This program also includes a mentorship event, job fair, and speaker series. Learn more by calling 513-237-1292.
Welcome back to the All In Cincinnati radio show. Today we are talking about Black women in our careers. Our guests are Jessica Wright, President and CEO of Wright Workforce Solutions, Renika J. Smiley, founder and CEO of Generation Now, and Devona Stripling, manager of the Women Excel program at the Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so we'll start with, we'll go to you, Devona. What are some things Black women can do to grow in their companies?
Sure. One of the things women can do is find a mentor. Mentorship is huge. Finding someone that can support you, advocate for you, inspire you to go to that next level. I believe circles break cycles in your own life, right? So when you start breaking those cycles and start seeing yourself in another level and another area, that's a great way to start. Another thing is to get a part of a leadership program. The Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce has many programs that we support women, but one I really want to focus on is We Ascend. That's our program that focuses on women of color. And so we talk about how do you overcome some of those challenges that you face being maybe the only one in the room, like my friend here, Jessica, just talked about. And then also, how do you become the person that can stand out among your colleagues? How do you gain skill sets and tools to overcome some of those things? And then how do you leverage yourself? Where do you see yourself going to the next area? And then finding your strengths, because we have strengths within us as Black women.
We do.
And I think that we oftentimes don't even look at our strengths as being great assets to wherever we're at. And when you tap into those strengths, my God, Black women, you can go wherever you want to go.
Get everything done.
Get
do whatever you want to
everything
do.
done. If that's being an entrepreneur, a CEO, being in a C-suite, being a director, going to the next level of management, you can see yourself, but you have to put yourself in those programs that are available in our community to help get yourself and get the skill sets that you need to leverage yourself to the next level.
I totally agree. How can you apply for those programs that you
Sure.
mentioned?
Go to CincinnatiChamber.com. We will have openings for We Ascend in the fall, our fall session, but June will be the opening application, the first week of June. And then you can even email me, dstripling@CincinnatiChamber.com if you want more information. I do coffee chats. I do lunches. I'll sit down with you. We'll girl chat. We'll talk about what it is that you want to see yourself in. What's your purpose? What's been lying dormant inside of you that you just haven't touched or yet, right? Because sometimes we have dreams, we have aspirations, but again, we invest in other things, other people, other organizations, but we don't take the time to invest in ourselves. And I like to believe that these programs that I oversee at the Cincinnati Chamber help catapult you to the next level of where you're going. So that's how you can get connected.
I love that. All right, Renika. So, what are some tips, or what are the tips that you have for women to prepare for career growth?
Absolutely. Some of the tips that I have to help young African American women prepare for career growth is start with career planning. Career planning is everything. You want to kind of plan out your career so you know the direction that you're headed into, even if that's finding someone that can help career counsel you, and that happens with a mentor, but you don't want to rely too much on your mentor. You want to rely on services that's available. We have those services available at Generation Now with our advanced program for African American women, and there's also resources at the Chamber of Commerce. There's also resources that you can get from the Urban League and the Urban League Young Professional Group with different programs that they have as well for leadership development. So those are some tips that I would give, and always network with the right people. You want to do your due diligence when you network with people as well too, because everybody isn't who they say they are, and we're always the target, the victim of that, being young professionals. We always, yeah. We're always the person conned in the beginning, and then we got to hit our head a couple of times, and then we end up learning like this person isn't who they say they are just because they got a nice LinkedIn profile that's duplicated with everybody else's captions. Like, you want to do your due diligence. So that's definitely something that I would pass on to other African American young women. And also, when you do your career planning, make sure that you do your personal life career planning as well. Don't forget about yourself, a part of that plan. And I think that's, I had a mentor tell me that like a few years ago, that's the most important part of your career planning, is planning what life do you want, what kind of luxuries do you want, what comfortability do you want, because if you're just doing all this work and not thinking about your personal life, you're going to end up depressed. You're going to end up hurting yourself, and you're going to forget about yourself in the end. And it's always about you and your purpose. So just keep yourself forward. Think about the things that you want out of your life, and that will help you career plan of what careers that you're looking for, what side hustles that you'll need inside of that career, because we always talk about salary, but even with some of the disparities that we're facing as African American women, if you want to be a school teacher, you just want to be a school teacher. You know the salary of a school teacher. We know the salary of a police officer. So if that salary isn't making you happy, how do you find other resources to make yourself happy but still continue to do the job that you're passionate about? Don't forget about your passion over the salary. You can always make money, but don't forget your calling.
Yes.
No matter how much money is in your calling, don't forget what your purpose is here. Sometimes I have ran into African American women who may like caregiving, may like taking care of elderly people or people with disabilities or school teachers, and that may not make them a lot of money, and they may do something else outside of that, but their purpose in life of what they're supposed to do is still fulfilled. So maybe your purpose may not be that full salary for you, but you could still figure out where your purpose will lie and where your money lie and everything as well. So I hope that wasn't a lot of
No.
blabbering on.
No, that was beautiful, and I love that you said have a personal plan and like a career plan, because I think for me, I always just had that career plan because my elders were like, you got to work twice as hard. So I came out the gate grinding and hustling like, nah, I'm gonna do this, but I didn't always think about myself. And this year, so this is my year, 20 years cancer free. And I said, I'm going to live. Like, I'm going to celebrate myself. I'm going to live. And I'm going to get that personal plan as much as I got that career plan going. So I'm so glad that you're sharing that information now.
Absolutely. You want to enjoy your life. You want to make sure, as my mom, she just recently passed from pancreatic cancer. This is my necklace from my mom right here. I bought it. I didn't care how much thousands of dollars it was. I got it. I always had my mom with me. And but my mom, she was also a cancer survivor. She had a rare cancer when she was a kid, and then unfortunately she ended up having another form of cancer as an adult. The cancer was only in her body for about 8 months. And so my mom, in between that time when she was a kid until she was 56, she just lived her life to the fullest. So that's something that I will always tell people: live it to the fullest, especially when you survive from something like that.
Yeah, and I'm a survivor of cancer as well, so 8 years. And so that was the turning point of my life when I decided that I was going to do better in taking care of myself and making sure I make time for me. I think a lot of times as women, we grind so hard, we forget to pencil ourselves on our calendars and take some time for ourselves. And taking time away doesn't mean we're taking away from what we do. Taking time away is to recalibrate, reset ourselves so that we can be better for those that we serve. And so I love what you said about that personal care is important, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be good for nobody else.
Exactly. So how can you start that personal plan and that career plan? Like, because I know sometimes it's just a fear of starting.
I think a few years ago, it was like a materialistic outlook at that time. I think I'm 34 now, but I think I was like 29, 30 years old. I was just networking. I was talking to this guy, and I didn't even have a lot of money at the time. I don't even know why I was sitting down talking to him. I was sitting down talking to him about like investing into stock and stuff and financial planning for myself, but I was broke.
That's okay.
And so when I was talking to the guy, he was like, he was the one that told me, so what life do you want? Because you will have to plan out, like when you do your financial planning, you want to plan out exactly what life looks like to you. And that kind of hit it on the conversation that I ended up having months down the road with the African-American older woman who told me like to create your life plan. So how do you want your life to look in the next 10, 20 years is important, because then you'll figure out how you want to plan out financially, how to get there. Because how are you going to get there and then still live your purpose? You have to figure out, you got to like plan it all the way out. You got to plan it out and just take out the time. And that's going to take a lot of time, and you don't want to rush it. And it may change tomorrow. Like I didn't expect my mom, I lost in the last like 2-3 years about 6-7 loved ones. I didn't expect that to happen. So like I'm repivoting my plan right now. So you can always repivot your plan and figure out what you want to do next. So that's where I'm at now. So I don't have like the resources of the best advice to give, because I'm now replanning everything out for myself. But that's what I would do.
I love it. So the 3 P's. So you got purpose, personal, and then plan. All right. So Jessica, how can Black women advocate for themselves in the workplace?
I think the biggest thing, it's really twofold, right? So first of all, I think that it's so important to document, right? So utilize that Outlook calendar. You know, you have more wins than you think always. Yes. Always. Celebrate the small successes, even if you just do a little chair dance at your desk. And,
I do dance parties. I do that.
Absolutely. And then type it in your calendar, right? So that way when annual review time comes, all you got to do is look at that Google calendar, right? Week by week and see, oh, that's right. I had a win every week. So then you can show up at that annual review and like, this is everything that I did. And that's one way to advocate for yourself is that you literally documented everything that you were able to accomplish, in that year, or if your reviews happen twice a year or whatever. I think that's definitely one way, because if you don't celebrate your successes, nobody else will. Right. Nobody celebrates you like you. So I think that is definitely number one. And number two is never stop learning, never stop growing, right? So for me, I had 12 years in nonprofit. And so I was always, if there was a meeting coming up, an event coming up, I know there's, I can't remember which university it was, but they always put out like the State of Black Cincinnati that, published, I don't know if it's yearly, but, I would always read that front to back, and I would go into meetings and I would go into spaces, whether meetings at the United Way or whatever, just educated and informed, and then also be a listener too. And so when you walk in a room and you're informed and you know what you're talking about, nobody can take that away from you. That's another way to advocate, for yourself, because then people start to come to you. They're like, hey, I know Jessica knows her stuff. So, I want to talk to her. Or, I found that I started getting picked to be on committees, right? Transportation committees and new grant funding committees. And, people would literally call the CEO of Cincinnati Works or Urban League and say, hey, can we get Jessica on this committee? That's education and and document your successes. To me, those are the top two ways to advocate for yourself, because nobody can take that away from you, your accomplishments.
I love that you just highlighted accomplishments. So recently I got some feedback that I always talk about, like what I'm responsible for, but I never really talk about all the things that I've accomplished. Yes. And so I think that that's so important, because I don't think that we're always are given the tools or skills to say, or to feel free to pat ourselves on the back and say, like, this is all of what I've done. Yeah. And so it's this year I'm just starting to do that. And it's been hard for me to do that.
Yeah. Well, think about it in reverse. You're responsible for all these things. But what are the results that you produced, right? So switch those responsibilities to results. Yeah, you have these responsibilities, but at the end of the year, you crushed it. Yeah. And you made these results. You produced these results, right?
Right.
And I think that especially with All in Cincinnati, you were doing a phenomenal job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about occupational diversity. We know that Black Americans, especially Black women, are overrepresented in many of the lowest wage jobs. How would you suggest our listeners explore other career options that match their aptitude, interests, lifestyle, and financial goals? So who wants to go first?
I actually, when I was working at Cincinnati Works, I approached my president and CEO at the time, and I asked her if she minded if I shadowed her, because I was so interested in one of the projects that she was working on. And I was like, I don't know if I have the aptitude for this, or I don't know if I could do this, could I go shadow you? And I think that, just starting to ask the questions and just starting to dig in sometimes, can make all the difference to say, oh, no, I'm not, I don't want to do that. Or, yeah, this is a good fit for me. Or I would be interested in this in the future, but you don't know until you see it or do it or observe it, And I think just not being afraid to just go take a peek, right? We try on clothes.
That's true.
We like to feel fruit and pick it up before we buy it. Like, why not? The most important thing about your career, your passion, how you take care of yourself, why not go explore that too?
Yeah, that's true. I like that. Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have anything to add?
I think that was well said. shadowing somebody is important. I think that's how I got started in the DEI space. I shadowed one of the managers, and I love what she was doing. I love the work that she was representing, and who she was representing, the people of color, and she was advocating for it, and it gave me an interest. It gave me a passion to jump in and do the work as well. And so by me shadowing her was my ability of tapping into the job, and then she offered me a role by just
nice.
shadowing. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a matter of being in the right space with the right place, but you gotta ask. And I think a lot of times we don't ask enough. And you're right. Some things we just don't like doing until you get to see it for yourself. You know, it was like I knew I did not want to be a nurse because I'm scared of blood. So it was
Me
like,
too.
no,
I was pre-med.
I can't do that. You know, I was like, yeah, I thought I was gonna do that, but no, that is not what for me. So I had to shift my thought and think about what is it that I'm really passionate about doing. What's something I could show up for and not even get paid for, and I'll still do it anyway.
Right.
Yes,
That
that is
purpose
so
that Renika
important.
That's
was
that
talking.
purpose Renika was talking about.
Exactly.
You know, when you do that, you'll show up because you're going to work harder, you're going to work longer because you have a passion for it and it's your purpose. Yeah. So I think all those things come together 100% like well.
I love it. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Jessica, Renika, and Devona. Thank you.
Wright Workforce Solutions is a Black-owned, full-service human resources consulting company based in Florence, Kentucky. Owner Jessica Wright provides clients with a solution-focused approach to drive sustainability and retention in various workplaces. The human resources consulting company becomes an addition to the managerial team by meeting with staff to learn the core of the business. WWS provides outside-of-the-box resources to solve business challenges and will equip the customer with the tools and strategies needed to meet the changing needs of small and medium companies. Jessica offers a variety of services, including employee handbook creation, targeted recruitment plans, frontline supervisor and employee training, team development, candidate screening and interviewing, and staff career coaching. One size does not fit all. Therefore, WWS will evaluate, listen, and adjust to the client. The Black-owned HR business also responds swiftly to clients' needs. Above all, Wright Workforce Solutions will tell the client upfront what they can and cannot do. Contact Jessica Wright today.
Welcome back to the All in Cincinnati radio show. Today we are talking about Black women in our careers and occupational diversity. Our guests are Jessica Wright, Renika J. Smiley, and Devona Stripling. So ladies, let's continue our discussion. I want to start with you, Devona. Can you tell us a little more about aptitude tests or how you can explore careers that are non-traditional?
Sure. So I would encourage all listeners to go get the book called Strength Finders. It's a great assessment tool that you could take online. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything to take the assessment from the book. It'll have the information in the back of the book of how to take the assessment to first find out your strengths and the areas that you need to just become a little bit stronger in. But we still use those as strengths as well, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there, utilize that tool to go online and look for things that you really are passionate and interested in. Google it. I'm teaching high schoolers right now at one of the high schools that I mentor at, is finding out now what it is that you want to do and that you're interested in. So how do you do that? Start Googling it. Look up those certificates that you can gain now. Some of the certificate programs are out there, are free, and you can put them on your resume. They're resume builders, and they could take you higher. I know a lot of times when I started out, I had to really think about what it is that I love doing most. And it was really encouraging other people to be better at what they do, right? And so I started looking at Googling, professional coaches jobs. You don't need a whole lot of money to do that kind of work. You can do that work by getting certificates and gaining those certificates online. It's less cost than going to college. But yet there's a great field for coaches in our communities to help coach other people to their next level. Right. So I would say utilize those type of platforms. Start off with the small things. Buy a book. A book is simple, easy, inexpensive. and cost effective.
Yeah.
Find out what your strength is first.
Right.
And then go from there. And then start Googling. We Google everything. When we want to find a song, we want to find a store, we want to find the latest outfit, the lipstick. We can do all of that on Google, right?
Right.
But why can't we do the same thing for our occupations, where we want to go, where we want to do? Find out the free things. Put free in the Google. Free certificates that are offered in Hamilton County. Start there, and then go to the next level of where you want to be in your career.
Do they have like, I don't know if you guys know this, but do they have like free or maybe certificate programs at like Harvard or Yale or something? Like, I feel like that would be great to see on your resume.
Yes.
Does anybody know about? So they do. Go,
Yeah,
you
they
wanna-
do.
Okay.
So they have free courses that you could take at Howard and Harvard University and Yale University, and then you will just have to pay for the certificate, which is usually about $500, which is worth it if you take a class at Harvard University. It's good to have on your resume, especially if it's something in the field that you're passionate about.
I love that. Can you also talk about like low cost apprenticeship programs?
Absolutely. So there's low-cost apprenticeship programs available at Gateway Community College in Cincinnati State. Cincinnati State has a workforce school out in Evendale. It's across the street from Walmart. So they have like a lot of free resources available, or funding opportunities for grants for you to take different apprenticeship opportunity classes. Also, you can go through Talbert House and Community Action Agency, which has partnerships with these actual schools who can help get you an accredited apprenticeship program for free. And it also includes free transportation as well. And so also apprenticeship is another organization called Public Allies. Public Allies, I believe they help out with apprenticeship opportunities as well for early career professionals.
I love that. Is there a downside to apprenticeships? Or
Yes, there's a huge downside to apprenticeship. So I know a lot of the tech, like there's an apprenticeship program at the University of Cincinnati. They focus more on technology, and those are free programs too. That's something to be a part of. But for a lot of the industrial manufacturing programs, they'll train you to be a machinist at that time, and they'll offer you a free apprenticeship for becoming a machinist. And then once you get out of your program a year or two later, then they're no longer looking for machinists, and that's not the high demand position that they're hiring for. Now they're hiring for something else in manufacturing. So then your apprenticeship certificate was a waste of time, since now the industry has switched and now they're looking for a totally different position that they're hiring for now that's more in demand at the time. So that's like kind of the downside of some apprenticeship programs, and that's when people get worked up, they get frustrated, and then sometimes people can get a apprenticeship internship but can't get a job because of the fact that they don't have experience in that field. But how do they get experience?
yeah, so you got to be real strategic and look at the longevity of whatever you're trying to move into, right? So, okay, I love that advice in advance, just to make sure, like if you're going into an apprenticeship, that you're looking at what is the longevity for that career path in advance, so you don't get frustrated at a later date. All right, Jessica, what are some of the best professional development and training options for Black women in the workplace?
I think outside of the obvious, right? There is LinkedIn Learning that I just recently learned that if you have a free library card, you can do the LinkedIn Learning for free and get the certifications, and they'll show up on your LinkedIn profile. Also, the public library does offer free classes in like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all that might be free, skills that you need for your job that you really want to go for. Toastmasters is something that I have personally used just right here in Kenwood because I used to have the most extreme fear in public speaking. And, they have a wide range of courses that you can take that are absolutely free. Everything from written communication to, grant writing to public speaking. Definitely skills that you can get that are just completely free. And then their resume ads. I think going back to what Devona stated, it all starts with figuring out what you want to do. And then once you've landed on what exactly that passion is, there are so many free options out there to be able to build those skills without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, going into college debt.
The student loan debt is real.
It is real. It is real.
Real painful.
And so just navigating, yes, real painful. Just being able to get those skills and navigate those resources is just so important, and just thinking outside the box, because there's a lot of us Black women that we already, we know how to update our resume, right? We know how to market ourselves and talk to people, but it's those hard skills, not those soft skills, right? It's those hard skills that we need to brush up on.
I love that. Any other programs? Locally, SOAR, or anything else that you can mention?
Yeah, Urban League does offer the SOAR program. We know Cincinnati Works has their Jumpstart program. We know that CityLink Center has several programs all under one roof. Community Action Agency. There's definitely so many resources for the entry-level person who does need that resume, who does need that interviewing experience, mock interviewing and professional development training and things like that. All of those are so relevant, so valuable, so important. There's also a new up-and-coming corporation that I just am a part of. It's called Supply Chain OKI, and it is an organization that really helps high school students learn about careers in all different types of fields. So, we're talking everything from Duke Energy to Tri-Health and everything in between, and start to learn in their junior and senior year about career fields that don't always require, a college education, especially, in the supply chain industry that is growing. Right. And so that they get to, in the summertime, work at these positions. And then they're also hiring, adults to work with these teenagers on site, and just kind of job shadow them as well. Yeah. So, which is also really
what
cool.
Devona said about,
Yeah.
shadowing. Mm-hmm.
And so you get to kind of work just for the summer and figure out if that's something that you'd like to do in that different industry. Mm-hmm. So I think that, keeping your eye out, on the internet, honestly, social media, some people may hate it, some people may love it, but it really, really is an incredible resource to, just know what's going on. Right. In the community and what resources are out there.
Yeah, I'm learning to love it. At first, I was a little hesitant, and then Sagan on my team, she's the director of communication. She was like, "Denisha, now you need to get out here. Yes. You need to figure this out." So I'm slowly starting to love it. I love that you said Toastmasters. Want to shout out Robert Killings at GCF because he also hosts Toastmasters there as well, and he does a fantastic job. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the importance of mentorship. Thanks.
Cincinnati apprenticeship programs can help you qualify for the most in-demand jobs in Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky. Manufacturing, electrical, construction, information technology, and healthcare industries are constantly looking for qualified people to fill open positions that allow for growth in the company, financial stability, and do not require a college degree. Cincinnati apprenticeship programs offered by trade associations, community colleges, and nonprofits allow you to work as a trainee under the supervision of skilled and certified tradesperson. Many apprenticeships only require a high school diploma. Visit thevoiceofcincinnati.com to see a complete list of opportunities.
The All in Cincinnati radio show is back. We are discussing Black women and our careers with human resources consultant Jessica Wright, professional development training Renika J, Smiley, and Women Excel program leader Devona Stripling. We're talking about the importance of mentorship and how do you get into the C-suite. So we'll start off with asking Jessica, what is the important role of having a mentor to advance your career?
I think it's so important to have a mentor just because they really, at least in my experience, the mentors that I've had over the years, they really just pour into you in a sense of a lot of my mentors had been where I wanted to go. And so, I love the term of iron sharpens iron. And also just there's a lot of time points where I felt like giving up. And, those mentors, they don't let you give up.
They don't. They keep pushing you,
Yes,
and making you do more
holding
and more
you
stuff.
accountable. I think that is really important of a mentor. A mentor, I think some people think of a mentor that they're just a cheerleader, and that's not the case. If you've got a mentor that's just a cheerleader, you got the wrong mentor.
Right.
Your mentor should be pushing you to do better, pushing you to, okay, what's next? Asking you what's next, what's your plan? How are we going to get there? I love that this is your dream. I love that this is your goal, but what's the plan, right? Also, helping to open doors for you that you would not normally be able to have access to. Yeah. I am so forever grateful for my mentors over the years, just speaking my names in rooms that I wasn't in, to get me into those rooms. And I think especially for Black women, we need that. I love, I was in the YWCA Rising Star program, and I just want to say what a great program that is, and we need more Black women in that program.
Yes.
But that lift as you climb, right? So mentors that help our Black women lift as we climb. We need to be lifting each other. And so I am just such a strong supporter of mentorship, and not just that love cuddle mentorship, right? That push you strive to be better mentorship.
Yep, I love it. So, Renika, how can Black women identify and maintain good mentoring relationships?
How Black women can identify and maintain good relationships with mentors is just having a regular communication with your mentor, questions you want to ask, space that you want to respect, and just maybe even just having like a coffee once a month with the mentor, or lunch, and figuring out who's your mentors and who are your sponsors, and then we all have different mentors for different avenues. They don't have to just be career mentors. It could be a parenting mentor. It can be a personal life mentor. It can be a cooking mentor.
I need that.
So, So don't just limit yourself to just specific mentors to have, because we all have helpers in life that help us through life in different avenues, in different ways, in different departments of our lives.
Yeah, I love that you keep bringing it back to the personal, because if you don't have yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, like Devona said, you can't do anything else. And so I love that you always center the personal, bringing it back to yourself.
Can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot. Exactly. And so, Devona, getting to the C-suite is not easy. So how do we get there? What do we do?
First, you have to see yourself in the seat first. You have to see yourself where you're going before you get there, right? I used to tell colleagues when I was in my lower wage jobs, I used to dress up all the time, right? And they would be like, well, Devona, why are you dressing up all the time? Because I'm dressing for where I'm going. Right. I'm not dressing for where I'm at.
Yes,
and so... And so I think when you see yourself in the position before you actually get there, it's a mindset, right? You got to get the mindset of where you want to be at in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So you make a plan, you make a goal. Networking is important. Having mentors is important, but having someone to advocate for you to get to that place and open up them doors, allow you to come to the meetings with them, sit in those meetings with them, get to know those players that are out there in the communities. I think, we live in a small city, and Cincinnati, somebody knows somebody everywhere.
All the time.
I don't care where you go, right?
Yes.
And it's really about networking, seeing yourself, and then having a great attitude, being an influencer, motivating. When you start from that seat first, I think you can see yourself in the suites, get in the C-suite of leading. Leadership roles takes a lot, and so you got to have self-awareness, I believe. You also got to be a decision maker. You got to be okay with making some hard decisions in some hard places as a C-suite person. Having empathy. Empathy goes a long way, because when you're leading, you can put yourself in the seat of those that you're leading. And when you have empathy, you can always go back to those people and say, how can you help? And roll up your sleeves and don't mind doing the work.
Yes.
A lot of
But
times.
then talk about the good work that you did.
Because you
Right.
gotta have good. If you want to be in those seats, you want to do good work. Don't mind doing the work to get there too. And it's hard work. It's not easy. We're all striving to do something greater here on earth. We all have a purpose. We all have a destiny. But how do you see yourself getting there? Write a plan. Write down a 5-year, a 10-year, a 15-year plan of how you're going to get there to that seat. And then get in boards. I think we eliminate that part, because sitting on boards also give you open doors for other accesses. So I think those are some important things to have in order to see yourself in a C-suite position.
I love that, all that information. I wanted to go back to something that Renika said. She talked about having, I guess, regular lunch or coffee
Yes.
with your mentor. And I think that's so important to set up that regular cadence, because I think sometimes you consult your mentor when things go bad. And so you call them like, okay, this may not be working out. This, like, let me know about this. But you also need to consult them prior to that, so they can keep you on the right trajectory in your career. And then I also, for me, I always ask my mentor to give me guidance when going into like a new career. And so they've given me great guidance to kind of figure out like, what is the workplace culture like? So Renika, can you talk about like workplace culture being critical, workplace happiness being so important, and then how can you assess a company and its work culture to ensure a good fit?
Yes, to assess the work culture, if it's a good fit for employees, you would have to do more of a research of what employees actually want today. I know for my generation, everybody wants to work remote.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, facts.
Yeah, that's everybody. They want to work remote, but there's still younger people and older people who still like to come into work. So is it a hybrid culture? I think it first starts with the work culture of what they're actually expecting and the atmosphere that they actually want to work into first. And then figuring out if their values matches the culture of the work that they're doing, if they believe in those values and principles.
I love that. Okay, so really quickly, I want to ask everybody, what can be done to raise the collective wages of Black women in Hamilton County? So I know the Women's Fund at Greater Cincinnati Foundation and All in Cincinnati worked on the salary history ban that prohibits people from asking you what you previously made on your job, so that you can really negotiate within the salary range. Are there other things that we can do in the community?
More consulting with the actual companies. I think the companies need more help with just consulting them on job positions to think about rethinking the population they have in certain departments and how they can become more inclusive in those different departments. Collectively training, developing women, and also researching and lobbying for legislation that can help with banding old laws and making new laws.
So new legislation.
Yeah, I was going to say that passing laws to increase the pay equity for women. And making sure we do that not just locally, but we do it everywhere, statewide. And we have to push the agenda of passing those laws so that we can raise up the wages for women in workplaces today.
Yeah, I love that. Jessica, anything else you want to add?
No, I think that it's just like a lot of other things. It's going to take a village. Systems change, all the things.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, ladies, we're coming to the end of the show, so I just want to ask if you have any last minute things you want to add. So I'll start with Jessica.
I think that everyone should reach out to Right Workforce Solutions.
I know that's right.
If they need help, if they're a startup, a small business, or an entrepreneur, you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or therightworkforce.com. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Renika, any last minute word?
Absolutely. We have a program for African American women titled Advance. We also have the fall cohort coming, and we are launching our new website in the spring of this year. So not this month, but when it starts feeling like spring outside. So we'll have courses online for women who are members to help with professional development as well.
Awesome. Do you have a personal email address? I don't think I asked.
do.
Okay, what's
So my personal email address is dstripling@cincinnatichamber.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, Renika, did you say your personal email?
Oh, personal email, first name, RENIKA.Smiley, SMILEY @gennowcincy.org, which is GENNOWCINCY.org.
Thank you. And Jessica, did you say your personal one?
Jessica at therightworkforce.com.
Gotcha. I know you said all the other social media platforms. What was
Yes,
it?
I
Facebook
did.
and Instagram.
And LinkedIn. I am so easy to find.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for this wonderful conversation today. Also, wanted to mention that All in Cincinnati has workforce goals around increasing the number of Black women who complete apprenticeships. So anyone who's interested in free and low-cost apprenticeship programs can visit the Voice of Black Cincinnati at vobc.co/apprenticeships. And thank you, everyone, for listening today. We hope you join us next week. Awesome. Thank you, guys.